Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperialdane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of the Reich, Defender of the Fatherland, and the guy who brings you all of these Propagandacasts. Yes, indeed, I can tell you're all excited. You're all ready to burst with joy and pride for the Fatherland. Yes, indeed. Well, some of you might also be for King George and Star-Spangled Banners and all that. Well, sucks to be you. Well, I'm not going to try and alienate some of my viewers. Sorry about that. I shall try to keep my fanatism at a decent level. But as you might have already noticing, we are in Semois. Yes, indeed, a 1 versus 1 on Semois in the night. The Germans shall strike. Why do I need to laugh maniacally? God damn it. Calm down, Dane. Calm down. Partially, at least. I know you're all eager to show these chaps this rather exciting game, but you need to be calm. And stop talking to yourself. You're just making them worry about you. Anyhow, yes, indeed, Semois, and of course, sort of divided into compartments. I do believe we've had this match quite enough this week that I don't really have to edge this up constantly, but instead, let us go have a look at the opponents. In the southern corner, it shall be JohnnyCrypton, the boy of Kryptonite. I think. Whatever the case, though, he is here. 1st Infantry Division, veteran troops, ready to lead the fight in Normandy. And who shall be opposing him? It shall be Imperialdane. He who is the greatest, well, not greatest, but certainly one of the greatest, one of the most handsome, and certainly one of the most entertaining to listen to. And the guy who's also casting this, so there might be a correlation there, but I'm not, of course, sure. He shall be leading the elite Panzer Lehr in the fight against the armies, leading a night attack on the Allied positions in the hope to throw them back and score a vital victory for the fatherland. And I can promise you this is only going to be quite a fight with a level 13 American, or rank 13, whatever you like to call it. So, let us get right down to it. Panzer Grenadiers on the way. Again, not really the most exciting of starts, I know. I mean, Kettenkraut, hooray, I'm sure not all of you are going to be brimming with excitement. There's only that much a Kettenkraut can do. Despite it is a sort of cool little vehicle. Barracks going up for the Americans. Again, we're not seeing a weapon support center start. We're just seeing barracks start. Engineers. Only 2 engineer teams. Quite standard, but rest assured, things will get a lot more exciting later on. Panzer Grenadiers arrive. Gewehr 43 is being equipped to these dashing chaps of the Panzer Lehr. The Panzer Lehr being the elite division of the Heer, if not the entire Wehrmacht almost. The Heer being the sort of non-SS part of the Wehrmacht. The Waffen-SS was the actual SS bits. There was also the Luftwaffe, but that sort of also came under the command of it. It was sort of a rather mixed match as the war went on. More Panzer Grenadiers arriving. Gewehr 43, of course, being a semi-automatic rifle in the hands of the Germans. There was also the Gewehr 41, but that didn't quite work out until they actually got their hands on them from Soviet semi-automatics and rather figured out that, well, that's how we actually supposed to do it, Hans. Oh, is that really true, Friedrich? Yes, now shut up. Oh. Anyhow, 3rd Panzer Grenadier team on the way, heading towards the center, securing territory. In this case, it's because I basically want them, well, I might as well, plus I don't want them to head too far without the support of each other, as that could easily end up with some Panzer Grenadiers going down a bit too quickly. Americans heading east, securing there. Riflemen heading towards the center, also securing this strategic point, of course, since this is sort of the one leading into the compartment area, and also controlling access to this or this area, depending on which side you're on. But Panzer Grenadiers are ready for the fatherland to lead their glorious Hauptmann Dane to victory, while Major Johnny advances through the streets of Semois. And there we go, rather discovering this, I immediately stop taking territory right there and engage the riflemen as quickly as possible. Open up with the Kar-98Ks, and there we go, riflemen are out in the open. Panzer Grenadiers advancing from all sides, and these riflemen are not looking one bit too happy. Kettenkraut securing territory there. And I'm rather close to be able to get a Kampfgruppe company up. And by that I mean up, somewhere over there. There we go. Kampfgruppe company for the fatherland. Half-tracks, Panzerschrecks, mortar half-tracks, all that stuff. And there we go, riflemen down to the mighty fire of the Panzer Grenadiers. Engineers flanking about, perhaps, or just using territory while further riflemen are arriving. Panzer Grenadiers here, I'm not entirely sure what they were doing. They were sort of shifting about, as I was trying to sort of figure out. And there we go, engineers arriving from the north. I'm a bit worried that they might have a flamethrower, so of course immediately begin focusing them down. doing quite a bit of damage, killing one, sending the rest running away, riflemen are running in the south, and then these pop out, and I immediately change targets again. They're sort of trying to get the drop on me, but I get the drop on them. Another down, and soon there might be more further down. There's indeed down to one man. Will he make it out of there? Afraid so. And this, I rather realize, is the cue for me to get out of there before I actually lose this small advantage. I gained there 5 riflemen. That's about 100 manpower and reinforcements, whereas I just only lost 1 Panzer Grenadier. That's 45 manpower. You can already sort of figure who's got the advantage there, at least in terms of manpower. Infantry half-track on the way. Leichte Schützenpanzerwagen. Or light APC for others. Engineers heading towards here. Might do some nasty business to my Kittenkrat. Oh dear, Kittenkrat, be careful. Be watchful ever for the fatherland. Riflemen getting reinforced. Further are heading into the battlefield of the central compartment. Panzer Grenadiers are moving in to sort of aid the Kittenkrat against those vicious evil engineers. In this case, I got rather bold and figured, well, I can take this point. Come on, you can do it, Kittenkrat. Don't get shot up. Panzer Grenadiers getting reinforced. Others are heading straight into the fight again. Engineers running away. Not rather fond of the whole getting shot down by Panzer Grenadiers for some reason. Infantry half-track ready. Dashes outwards. More Panzer Grenadiers on the way. The rest heading towards the center to deliver a vicious blow right there against the Amerikaner. The Cowboys, the armies. And some more Gewehr 43s will be equipped. Yes, there we go. Might as well increase the firepower as much as possible. And at this stage, I'm still not entirely sure what to expect. Should I be expecting BARs or should I be expecting armored cars? Because one way I could easily end up in a bit of trouble. Gewehr 43 chaps getting into the infantry half-track, opening up on these riflemen, and the infantry half-track is able to flank on the chaps behind the cemetery wall. Engineers with flamethrowers are nearby, but they need to actually be able to get close to the half-track to do any damage. But then again, if they get close, they can do quite a bit. Further Panzer Grenadiers arriving. Gewehr 43 finally up. And the half-track moves up here to flank and of course hit them where the cover does not apply in the most vicious manner. But then I sort of notice there's an attack going in there and I quickly pull back, not wanting flames to go into my half-track. People inside half-tracks, or at least infantry half-tracks, are rather susceptible to fire. Panzer Grenadiers flanking the rifleman here. Of course, question is, and yes indeed he is going for the supply yard. He will be going for the M8. And at the same time I've chosen a second infantry half-track. This could easily end up badly. At the same time, JohnnyCrypton is setting up a medic station to prepare for a war of attrition. He is of course going to go for a bit there. And what do I do here? I have a slight tactics report which involves flanking, and actual flanking actually involves usually 2 teams, one which occupies the enemy's attention, thus ensuring they won't move away right away, and then you move in on another one to sort of deny them the advantage of cover. In this case, the Panzer Grenadiers moving here, and in this side, the riflemen are quite exposed. Infantry half-track also moving in to do a bit of damage, really opening up on the riflemen, and if they then proceed to move, they are going to be quite more exposed. There we go. Another down, another down. Rifleman right here also getting suppressed. Kittenkrat securing territory there in the south. All good for me. Medics moving in. Second infantry half-track on the way. This is a bit unusual, but then again, I'm sort of figuring, well, of course I need to adapt. I need to try new things. In particular, in case of the BAR, I figure, well, another half-track might actually be the key to victory. I like that term. Kittenkrat here needs to get moving, perhaps secure some territory there, deny the Americans further resources. Infantry half-track immediately moves on, no reason to stick about, might as well take advantage of the fact that I push my opponent back, use the sort of disorganization in his line to sort of push onwards, be aggressive. Engineers out in the open, Panzer Grenadiers pulling out there, but the infantry half-track moves in, ready to open up. Flamethrower engineers moving southward, perhaps hoping to retake some territory for Uncle Sam. Infantry half-track moves up, Panzer Grenadiers get into the half-track. Whew. Quite a bit going on there, and the Panzer Grenadier team number 5 getting ready. 2 infantry half-tracks, 5 Panzer Grenadiers, and a Kittenkrat. And now the Americans are going for the motor pool. But at the same time, I do suspect the amount of men I keep killing and the sort of drain on his manpower rates, that's certainly going to be making it a bit harder for him to just go straight for the armored car, unless of course he wants to lose all of his territory. And these riflemen are now getting flanked, getting hit by 2 infantry half-tracks where the cover doesn't really apply. This is certainly going to end badly. Yes, there we go. Quite some losses. Infantry half-tracks are quite slow at turning, so that's certainly their cue to get the devil out of there. Further riflemen arriving, medic station getting shot to pieces. Kittenkrat doing its best there in the south, but spotting some engineers, and the Kittenkrat doesn't quite at this situation stage have the health to actually withstand such a blow. Infantry half-track moving southwards to deal with these engineers, which of course I noticed going down there. And doing a bit of harassment there, always jolly. Riflemen going down to the infantry half-track, opening up as jolly good there. Engineers stopped in the south. Panzer Grenadiers trying to take this point, but riflemen are pushing onwards, keeping things occupied here. And shall the motor bull be doing something? Yes, indeed. Probably an armored car on the way, but shall it be a T-17 or an M8? The Greyhound. Hound of the Hells. Well, not really. Not unless America is hell. But that's a completely different discussion. But securing the munitions point right there. These 2 points need to be retaken for the fatherland. The M8. Why the devil did it move there? M8 on the field though, although it does need some armored skirts, and I'm just barely getting my anti-tank half-track ready, so this M8 will certainly have the advantage at least for a short while, and I'm rather realizing I need to get the devil there out of there. Riflemen in a bit of a slightly unfortunate situation, only 3 teams, quite some wounded. Half-tracks pulling out there while the anti-tank half-tracks move in there. The anti-tank half-track wasn't actually sort of designated as specifically for that. It was actually sort of a squad leader, platoon leader unit, in fact, sort of. Basically there for us to be sort of a command vehicle. It had a slightly increased gun to sort of deal with any sort of ensconced position, of course, light vehicles. Fun facts those. Half-tracks pulling out of there, hoping to sort of lure in the M8 while the anti-tank half-track sort of waits, baiting in the M8 with some tasty half-tracks, and then the anti-tank half-tracks moved in. Pow! Knocking it out, and then... No! Come on, hit it. There we go. Engine destroyed. Another hit, and riflemen are charging in, but infantry half-tracks open up in support. Panzer grenades as well, although these are quite exposed. Oh dear! Immediately going down, and of course that's something to be aware of. Units are much easier to hit and take more damage when repairing. It applies to pretty much everything. Panzer grenades repairing the anti-tank half-track while the M8 gets shot up. Riflemen charging in. Panzer grenades might want to get into the church to deny to the Americans. Riflemen and focus fire on the light anti-tank half-track, making it a bit more useful against infantry. Quite a bit of fire, quite some losses for the Americans. M8 out. Riflemen taking losses. Panzer grenadiers are also down, but at the same time I haven't quite suffered the same rate of attrition the Americans have. Another medic station though going up. American riflemen dutifully holding the line in the face of the elite Panzer Lehr. And Panzer grenades ready to get reinforced again. And the light anti-tank half-track isn't quite as happy at this situation. Riflemen taking continued losses. Panzer grenades continue in the south, Kettenkraut in the north. And whatever shall I do? I do believe it's time for us to have a look at JohnnyCrypton, who has gone for infantry doctrine and has howitzer shoot, although I'd still like to refer to it as a house or barrage. My apologies, but howitzer shoot sounds absolutely silly. But securing the other victory point right there, although American engineers are quick to counterattack. Something going on in the Panzer support command, whatever shall it be? Hiccup. Not that though. Half-tracks getting repaired, might as well mend them while there is time. And it is at this stage that I rather decide to go for Doctrine. Can I see it right now? Yes, indeed, I go for Scorched Earth. Why do I go for this? Well, I'd actually like to explain this because, you know, Doctrine choices for some are sort of like, well, I need that unit, I like that unit, or I like laying down booby traps, or I like for the fatherland, and they sort of not figure about it. For example, you know, defensive doesn't really work well if you actually have to make a lot of attacks. In this case, of course, Scorched Earth, it's sort of the doctrine of denying your opponent territory. It means booby traps, it means knocking out points, and such other things. And why do I go for it? Well, in this case, as you might have noticed, I'm currently holding quite a bit of territory, but at the same time, some of you might be thinking, well, Dane can't actually hold this amount of territory, well, and not least without taking quite a beating. What do? Scorched Earth, booby traps, all other sorts of things like that, making it much harder for my opponent to actually take any territory. And of course force out his attention, and of course later on I can get the ability to lay down sector artillery, disable points completely, and call in the humble self-propelled artillery. Those are all nice things, but in this case it is basically so I can have a bit more easier time holding all of this territory by using barbed wire tank traps, although I don't really get to use them much there, but also booby traps. So let us return to the fight. American assault going in, anti-tank gun ready. JohnnyCrypton not looking too well at this stage. He has suffered quite a bit, but he hasn't given up. This plucky young American keeps pushing on. Panzer grenades in a bit here, and press a volley on these riflemen, stopping them right away. Jolly good show right there. And pinned down. And booby-trapping this church for the fatherland. Riflemen charging right ahead, finding themselves occupied by barbed wire. The cheek of those panzer grenades, but the anti-tank gun opens up on my infantry half-track, which is a bit more unfortunate. Riflemen in the south forced away. Half-tracks get away. At least they're trying to. Kettenkrad sort of hanging about in the north. Something still on the way in the Panzer Support Command, and this is a bit unfortunate. It's sort of ordered to get away, but then it rather chose to go through there. That's just a bit unfortunate on me. I didn't actually pay that much attention to sort of counter orders again, but certainly there you go. Shit happens occasionally, in particular with those light anti-tank, light half-tracks of the Panzer Elite. Panzer Grenadier still holding, so as the light anti-tank half-track rifleman goes down to the fire of the half-track. Panzer Grenadier still sort of hanging about here, and artillery going in on this spot. The cemetery getting blown to bits. And booby traps being used here, I believe. Or at least soon. Infantry half-track moves in to sort of stop these American riflemen. Hotchkiss moving in, and already with the rockets ready, Wurfraum and 40. Opening up on the last suspected position of the anti-tank gun. Hits absolutely nothing, although it does set this building on fire. The roof is on fire, but nonetheless, Kettenkrad pushing on southwards. And there we go, laying down the booby traps. Panzer Grenadiers charging in. And what is JohnnyCrypton otherwise doing? He's now getting sticky bombs for his riflemen, ready to counter those half-track, those sneaky half-tracks. Hotchkiss moves in, open up. Anti-tank gun moves in. Panzer Grenadiers rather find themselves in a tricky situation and will have to retreat. And the anti-tank gun opens up on the Hotchkiss. The Hotchkiss quickly makes a swift retreat. And sticky bombs ready for the riflemen. And a rifleman team has been reformed. Good show there. And of course also shows why having a building like a medic station is always nice, but further Panzer Grenadiers have arrived. At the same time going for the Panzer Jäger command. Figuring I might want something now at this stage that can possibly sneak in and flank this anti-tank gun from the rear. Riflemen coming under fire. Half-track still sort of hanging about, and Panzer Grenadiers laying down the booby traps everywhere. Booby trap everything. Let nothing not be stuffed with explosives to deny the Americans it. Rifleman pushing onwards. He still has artillery, and of course infantry. Doctrine of course means assault, but it's sort of the slow one. And there's also some defensive capability in it, since infantry can lay down mines and barbed wire and such. Now artillery going in, hitting the anti-tank gun, doing a bit of damage. Engineers charging in with a flamethrower. Hotchkiss providing a bit of covering fire. Panzer Grenadiers getting out of there. But further Panzer Grenadiers are arriving there for the fatherland, and something is flashing in the Panzer Jäger command. Could be the Sonderkraftfahrzeug, the Panzer Spähwagen, also known for us as the regular armored car. For the Panzer Elite, that is. But Hotchkiss is there, Panzer Grenadiers as well. And assault rifles, Sturmgewehr 44, getting ready. And engineers going down in a torrent of fire. And Kettenkrad sneaking through here, deciding to do a bit of harassment. Sneaky Kettenkrad, another M8 on the way. Panzer Grenadiers charging onwards for the fatherland. And Panzer Grenadiers dying for the fatherland a bit, unfortunately. That's not going to stop me. Infantry half-track sort of sneaks about here to support the Hotchkiss light tank. Others are getting reinforced here. All a bit quiet for the moment, but the armored car is ready to do a bit of reconnaissance and shoot those Americans where they do not expect it. M8 is ready though. All a bit quiet except for this small engagement here, but now the armored car's moving in from the north, opening up on the right and out in the middle of the road, doing quite a bit of damage actually. Or at least killing two and leaving the others a bit confused. M8 moving in, but the armored car is not looking for that. Engineers going down, but still not the primary target of the armored car. No, what is it? It is the anti-tank gun, and it spots it. What do you do then? Call in the Hotchkiss artillery and knock it out. There we go. Riflemen survive all of this explosive munitions, and then the order comes to charge in. Move in before the Americans can recrew that anti-tank gun, and a booby trap goes off in the south, and one rifleman combusts completely. Goes busto. Forces of the Panzer Elite pushing forwards. Hotchkiss opening up. Infantry half-attack as well. M8 moves in. Facing off against the Hotchkiss, it finds it's not really able to do anything, whereas the Hotchkiss can do something nasty against it. And the armored car moves in to deal with the infantry, but it is too close, oh dear. Defensive veterancy, meaning of course it is a bit faster, and then it speeds away. Gunning down the riflemen. And then it sort of stops up, which is not quite what is wanted. Engine damage due to the M8. Charging in with the Hotchkiss to sort of try and save it. But the riflemen do something sneaky here and drop off a sticky bomb on the Hotchkiss. And the armored car will not be surviving this, I fear.
Enemy unit down.
In the center, another fight for survival goes on as panzer grenadiers now follow up in the initial armored charge, or at least lightly armored charge of the Hotchkiss and the M8. Hotchkiss now in a bit of trouble. Opens up. Infantry getting gunned down. Another sticky bomb goes off on the Hotchkiss, but securing territory right here. Panzer command flashing up once more. Medic station coming under fire, and looks like this Hotchkiss light tank might not make it. Panzer grenades are moving in, though, opening up, and the Hotchkiss is tragically lost. A bit of suppressive fire, keeping the heads of those riflemen down, while the assault rifle panzer grenades are moving in to deliver the killing blow, but the M8 is simply too much, forcing me to get out of there once more. And whatever shall be going on right now, dealing with this spot. Me trying to take this point, perhaps, oh I don't know, disable it if necessary. And looks like another American assault is moving in. Rangers, riflemen with BARs, all the nasty stuff. And I rather realize I probably can't hold this. Medic station very close to getting knocked out. But might not happen. And what is this? Another Hotchkiss. Yes indeed, for some reason the Panzer Lehr has been given Hotchkiss light tanks. And what do? When everything is looking bad, you disable the munitions point and disable the Americans from actually grabbing it. Very sneaky. And another booby trap goes off, killing some more riflemen. Another rifleman team is actually reformed. Quite impressive considering it's on fire. M8 moving in for the hunt. Anti-tank gun gets recruit though. And the Hotchkiss will probably be firing very soon at that though. Rifleman charging ahead for Uncle Sam. Getting stopped, getting shot down, suppressive volley. Hotchkiss opening up, with its rockets and its main gun at the same time, quite impressive. And the anti-tank gun gets blown up to bits, and some riflemen as well. Hotchkiss also decides to pull back. Captain Kratz sort of duel now, although this one was a bit too close to the enemy front lines. Panzer grenades getting reinforced, defensive operations is up, thus giving my troops a bit of healing, and of course decreasing cooldown rates, which is always nice. And going for supply yard upgrade number 1, good, and more anti-tank guns, rather realizing he's lost one. He's going to need a new one, and Captain Kratz moving in for the south. Oh dear, oh dear. Engineers moving in towards the center, and another booby trap. Yes indeed, booby traps at everything. And will another engineer go down? Ow. Rats. But the Panzer grenades are getting ready. Hotchkiss getting repaired. 6 kills, including 1 vehicle. That's probably anti-tank gun, though they are counted as vehicles. Surging in towards the center once more. Rangers hiding inside the church with a few bazookas, and then not hiding. In fact, getting out of their riflemen trying to repair this munitions point and render it operable once more for the American cause. And of course that does take some time, so that's of course also a nice feature of it. Not only that, but you're going to have to tie down one of your units to actually get it fixed. And I do believe it's time to return to me. And what am I up to at this stage? Not a lot, in fact, it seems. M8 doing its nasty bits. Anti-tank half-tank moving in. Anti-tank gun on the move as well. And the armored car is immobilized and taking quite some damage. Panzer grenades providing covering fire as Rangers and Riflemen move in. Light anti-tank half-track takes quite some damage from the bazookas. And once more, the Nebelwerfer screams. I mean, the Hotchkiss, but basically it is Nebelwerfer rockets. It is firing just heavier ones, in fact. Not managing much here, hoping to do some damage with the engineers repairing, but simply too accurate in this case. Rifleman getting gunned down, shot down to bits, and this point is still not in the hands of the Americans, and in fact is not in the hands of anyone. Panzer Grenades charging ahead, but they're simply getting shot and burned to pieces. Quite unfortunate. Retreat, and oh dear, that was terrible on my behalf. I should have retreated a lot earlier. Hotchkiss moves in to do a few shots there. And trying to flank in as well from the north. And then I decided to disable this point and of course deny him access to these munitions. Because I rather realized I won't be able to take this point, might as well just render it inoperable. And this light anti-tank half-track might not make it. No, it makes it to safety actually. Oh dear, what on earth am I doing? Certainly trying to hold this area, certainly doing my best to try and keep him bleeding manpower for every single bit. And of course harassing him and constantly denying him points. Which is certainly also the part, and of course forcing him to use infantry to very, very slowly repair it. That's part of it. And these Riflemen are trying to take this victory point, which has been once more booby-trapped. And getting the Panzerjäger command upgrade, not going for Marder Freeze. No, in this case I'm going for the Panthers, figuring I want some heavy armor, I need something that can really scare that M8, and also prove as quite the nuisance to him. And Rifleman sneaking from here, no booby traps reset there though, but there is something nearby that can prove to be quite a threat. The Hotchkiss. And M8, in fact, laying down mines, quite interesting. And these Riflemen are almost annihilated, down to one man. The rest are simply slaughtered like lambs, and Kettenkrats getting ready for something in the north. Riflemen sneaking through here. Veterans here for quite a few of my units, and I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Well, what is the current situation? Well, I'm holding most of the map. The American does hold some of it, but at the same time he really has to spend some of his troops to actually put together those points once more. Small victory for me, of course not a permanent one, but it's certainly going to be a delay for him and actually moving onwards. That's only one of the parts of Scorched Earth. Delaying your opponent's movement while he has to actually render what you've destroyed operable once more. In particular with this point, it actually means a bit, since he can't actually get access to those munitions until this point is once more American. Very nice thing right there. He is sort of rushing forwards. The medic station has in fact been repaired. It's certainly managed to reform quite a few infantry units, and this M8 is actually quite nasty. But at the same time, though, I'm doing alright. I've got some Panzer Grenades, a bit of armor, a bit of half-tracks, a bit of Kettenkrat, and I'm certainly pushing onwards. I'm certainly making things very difficult for him. Certainly not going to make it easier for him. And currently, though, I could probably do with pushing through here. Again, harassing constantly. I want to make it harder, and of course, booby-trapping, making it harder for him to take what I actually hold currently. It's sort of a partly thing there. Push forwards, booby-trap or disable, and then pull back to slightly more comfortable positions. That's basically the strategy I'm sort of going for at the moment. And some Panthers. Panthers are very important. Possibly also a Hummel. So let us return to the fight. Of course, what does he need to do? Well, briefly pause again. What does he need to do? Well, he needs to sort of, well, regain the points I'm knocked out, and he needs to deliver a more brutal blow to me. He needs to set up perhaps something a bit more strong, or perhaps he needs to sort of flank him out and harass me as well, or sort of go for one of the routes where I'm not really attentive. Instead, he's going right through the center, which is rather where I'm focusing all of my troops to really grind him down and of course do all my worst. So of course he is making a bit of a mistake there, but let's see. Booby traps being taken once more. Does he notice? Apparently not. One rifleman is lost to the fire, and another, and another. No further explosions though, it seems. Oh. And he is charging forwards. Panzer Grenades engaging as well. Rifleman charging ahead, getting shot as well. Rangers moving in. Anti-tank gun opening up. M8. Being just that dastardly little vehicle it is. And Rangers moving in from the north. Anti-tank half-track firing. Hotchkiss firing. Engineers charging forwards. Assault grenadiers ready, in fact. The Panzer Lehr does not give up even in the face of the 1st Infantry Division and all their armor and all their artillery. Panzer grenadiers are slowly retreating, slowly pulling back, but I'm still holding what I want to hold, which is this bit. Everything here is pretty much just there to annoy him and make it harder for him to actually advance. That is sacrificial territory in a manner of speaking. I'm taking this point, although at the same time I probably should have booby-trapped this point a lot earlier before taking this point. But there you go. Always easier to talk in hindsight, but still shut things in prioritizing. To take territory first or booby-trap what you have. Try to booby-trap what you have. But currently holding all 3 victory points again. Panthers battle group ready to be called in from the main Panzer regiment of the Panzer Lehr. Kettenkraut rather quickly getting away from there. Panzer is trying to secure this territory. And rather at this stage I'm figuring, oh right, I perhaps ought to booby-trap this victory point. Dope. But Riflemen are already ready to move in. And opening up, thus losing me a Kettenkraut, much to my dismay. Panzer Grenadiers moving in, hoping to clear out this anti-tank gun, but Riflemen are ready, and they retreat, not wanting to suffer any losses. I mean, there's no point in needlessly losing troops. Might as well retreat if you feel you can't hold it on. So all quiet at this stage. The American is probably getting ready for something. Fuel point once more secured. Might want to booby-trap it again. And the Nebelwerfer opens up, hoping to hit something. Yes, indeed. Nothing really hit except some medics. And they don't even die. Anti-tank half-track opening up in support, so is the Kettenkraut. Riflemen getting shot down, but so the Panthers, and now the Rangers are moving in, but they are also taking losses. The Suka rockets flying, and oh dear, the light anti-tank half-track is lost. Panzer Grenadiers continue the assault. 3 command points, which I believe should give me access to the Hummel. Hummel. Come on. Yes, there we go. Or Hummel. Heavy self-propelled artillery, and at the same time he has himself gone for the howitzer. Sneaky little bugger. So of course I call in my own artillery with its heavy howitzer, ready to deliver death from above, although the Hummel is notoriously has a high scatter and it can't fire quite as fast as this medium one. And it only fires 4 shots. There's a few oddities right there with the Hummel, but still I wouldn't completely discount it. And more Riflemen picking up on booby traps, but this case looks like they will be avoiding it. Central victory point though is still in my hands and is currently still booby trapped. Hummel moving in, and where do I set it up? Well, in this case I'm setting it up here. It won't be able to fire into his base, but and I'll just briefly pause here to explain why. Some of you might be wondering. Well, the reason I'm doing it like this is because, well, if I move it closer, yes, I can get closer to his base, but the opponent can also get closer, and I'm not quite ready to say I'm completely confident with this territory, so in case I have to pull back, if the Hummel also has to move and it moves rather slowly, it might suddenly become a target for your opponent. On the other hand, if I keep it here, I can cover this central territory, the town that is, bombard his position there, and of course frustrate his attempts to attack, and I rather feel I'd rather do that. So that's just my opinion on the matter. And figured you might want to know. And of course, as usual, artillery, put down some control groups on it for each specific piece of artillery. In this case, of course, I like to go control 5. For example, for Hotchkiss with artillery, control 4 or perhaps control 6. And artillery going in, rather figuring there might be something here at this medic station, opening up on it. Hitting the water most heroically. And pushing forwards in the north. Kettenkraut moving in and running straight into the Greyhound. And goodbye Kettenkraut while I'm pushing forwards in the center as well. No reason to be timid, might as well push on at all fronts, at all costs. Hotchkiss is still alive. Artillery going in towards the center as well, I suspect. Where? No, it is instead going through here in the north. Panzer Grenadiers lost. M8 charging ahead, but Riflemen are certainly taking losses to all of this Panzer Grenadier fire. The barbed wire still proving to be a bit of an obstacle to our opponent, which certainly shows that this has certainly been well placed. Nebelwerfer fires. Does it hit anything? Kills a few Riflemen and leaves the building on fire again. Quite amazing. Riflemen pushing through in the south from JohnnyCrypton's 1st Infantry Division, while the Panzer Lehr forages as onwards ever stalwartly. Trying to gain myself some territory so I can actually get enough population cap to get to call in those panthers in the near future. And rifleman hitting a booby trap while the M8 is putting a stop to rifleman right there. And all of these riflemen were in fact lost to the booby trap. Hooray! Rangers charging ahead right in the center. And artillery opening up, rather figuring I might as well try to hit them. Stop their assault. I do not hit right away at least. And again, the Hummel has quite some scatter, more than most other artillery units. Hotchkiss moves in to try and salvage the situation, stop the M8 with its mighty 37mm gun, although that's exactly the same as the M8. Quiet, and these Rangers are now charging in towards the center. JohnnyCrypton has the Howitzer, which is certainly going to help him against my positions where I actually decide to make a stand. Hotchkiss finds a way. Anti-tank guns are certainly a threat as well. But the Hummel and the Hotchkiss is only going to help me against those, and the Panzer Grenadier is doing most of the work, as should be with the Panzer Elite. Oh dear, these riflemen are turning, taking up hasting assault rifles, tearing through them, my goodness! The two rifleman teams lost this early on. And charging into further Panzer Grenadiers right here in the south. It's time to look at JohnnyCrypton once more. More artillery being called in right in the center. Riflemen dying as the Panzer Grenadiers, the heavy assault grenadiers in fact, open up with their assault rifles. Quite desperate fighting right here by the cemetery. Hoping to not end up in it. And Panzer Grenadiers are retreating from here as well. Hotchkiss opening up on the M8. Things were certainly looking rather tight for me at this stage. And now an off-map combat group. That might explain a thing or two. Well, that'll explain. And of course, more booby traps, in this case right in the center, and firing in the Hotchkiss artillery right on it as well. In this case though, the booby trap actually did most of the work, and the Hummel just fires on empty ground. A bit unfortunate. Small engagement right here. Also very quiet, only 130 points left for JohnnyCrypton to turn the tide for the 1st Infantry Division in the face of the Panzer Lehr. While the Panzer Lehr just keeps sending in those Panzer Grenadiers, reinforcing them, healing them up, patching them up. And now the Hotchkiss firing on the center again. Trying to keep it. And riflemen taking some minor losses. But only minor. Starting to look a bit hairy. Don't have a lot of units at this stage. Some Panzer Grenadiers, a Hotchkiss, a Hummel, but that's about it at this stage. While he keeps on pushing, and looks like he's definitely saving up for the off-map combat group, hoping for something for him to perhaps turn the tide. Panzer Grenadiers doing their best, suppressing some of those riflemen, and just, well, looks like the Panzer Grenadiers will be forced away due to the artillery. The Howitzer here is certainly prone to be quite the foe. Veterans who won already. And note, most artillery units, except the Hotchkiss, gain a decrease in cooldown for every level of veterancy. Hummel also gets that, but it doesn't really have managed to kill a lot at this stage. But once more firing at the center. Shall he kill something this time around, please? Apparently not. Hummel is again quite inaccurate. Very important thing to note. Only thing it seems to be hitting is the House of God. And that's not even intentionally. But now Panthers are here to save the day. Heavy Panzer marching through. Panzer 5, Panzerkampfwagen. M8 advancing through here as well. Dealing with these Panzer Grenadiers, but note those that are moving in to seize this victory point. And the Hotchkiss once more opens up. Anti-tank gun hiding in the north. Center area getting bombarded with Hotchkiss rockets. Rifleman tanks will be nasty right down there. And the Panthers are leading the charge into the town. And what is this off-map combat group? Rifleman, heavy machine gun, and an anti-tank gun. And more artillery going down. Semois is certainly getting blown to bits today. But those inside the church are certainly also taking some losses to the Panthers and the Panzer Grenadiers. Hummel's still not really managing much, sadly. But so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infantry teams and a ranger team. A few anti-tank guns, the howitzer, the M8, some engineers. All good. And I'm constantly at this stage just shifting back Panzer Grenadiers for reinforcements constantly. Without remorse. M8 coming under fire from the Panthers and the Hotchkiss. Panther here trying to flank the anti-tank gun. Artillery perhaps firing once more, and another anti-tank gun has arrived, the one called in. And firing off with armor-piercing rounds, doing quite a bit of damage to this Panther. Oh dear. Artillery going into the center, not managing much. Panther here needs to retreat. Retreat, I said. Oh dear, rear armor getting hit. Come on, Dane, retreat. You cannot win this. Hummel artillery firing in as well, hoping to do some sort of damage. But it just doesn't hit. Panthers retreating. Riflemen charging forwards. Hotchkiss covering the rear. Panzer Grenadiers securing the south once more. And looks like the Hotchkiss might not make it out of there. Oh dear. Hangman is 27 kill. It lasts no more. A brave little Hotchkiss, but not brave enough. And 2 Panthers with 3 kills each. More artillery going down on this spot. Panzer Grenadiers trying to move in to repair the Panthers. But this is quickly turning out to be very dangerous. One hit and those Panthers will be completely lost. But apparently quite surviving, and apparently the riflemen are killed as they try to hide in the cafe, but the cafe collapses all around them. And again, that is something to note. Let's just briefly pause. When a building is destroyed and you have units in it, those units will be trapped and die inside it. Keep that in mind, which is why you want to stay away from buildings with very low structural health or integrity, as you might call it. And Panzer Grenadiers immediately beginning to effectuate repairs on those Panthers, who have taken quite a beating at this stage.
We're losing a strategic sector.
And apparently they both sort of managed to keep kills equally. So 5 kills for these ones, that's a bit funny. And the Hummel still not managing much. More luck lull. What does that mean? Well, that means he's basically complaining. He's whining. He's saying, the only way I'm winning or doing so well is because I have luck on my side. Of course, it's not to do with strategy. It's not to do with booby traps. Sector artillery, which I have here. The Panthers, of course, the fact that I'm sort of trying my best to frustrate his attempts. No, it's sheer luck. I'll give him that, or not. But immediately repairing the Panthers. And there we go, sector artillery immediately wiping out those engineers, riflemen charging ahead. And the south as well. Panthers opening up, Panzer Grenadiers charging ahead. Heavy machine gun set up to cover this area. And looks like Mr. JohnnyCrypton will be relying on its off-map combat group, but then again that's not entirely unexpected, since you usually get some quite nice discounts on its usage. And looks like these riflemen right there in the center getting gunned to bits. Goodness gracious. M8 charging ahead, Panthers opening up, and artillery going out, clearing out the heavy machine gun right there. And looks like an M10 tank destroyer Wolverine has arrived. And of course that's one of the things you can call in. In this case, let's just briefly look over what did he actually get. An M10, that's 300 manpower and about 50 fuel. One rifleman team, that's 270 manpower. He's already up on 570. Heavy machine gun, 240. Which already means he's pretty close to, in fact, 800. That's about, I don't know, 700. What is it? Wait a minute. No, in fact, he is already at 800 there. Now throw in the Rangers for 400 manpower, and in fact, he's just got 1200 manpower's worth of units for 800 manpower. So go figure. I mean, sometimes you don't get so great deals on it, but other times you really get quite your worth out of it. So keep that in mind. And now the Hummel fires in response, actually managing some kills this time around. 5 kills, my goodness. Firing straight into the center. Sector artillery also doing what it can. Panzer Grenadiers leading the charge home to clear out the anti-tank and make things safer for the Panthers to charge in once more. But Panthers forced to pull out, and at this stage I do believe I have advanced repairs to actually allow my Panzer Grenadiers to quickly put those Panthers together. M10 charges in. The Panther tries to deal with these riflemen, and currently I actually hold none of the victory points. Things are not really looking my way. In fact, I've been pushed in to a very thin strip of land beyond my own compartment. Heavy machine gun setting up, M10 watching, and of course that piece of artillery being a Very nasty thing. But Panthers are adequately repaired. And again, 7 kills on both. I'm not entirely sure how they manage it. Opening up on the M10, but there's an anti-tank gun. Pull out, Panther, pull out. Keep the frontal armor there. Oh dear, taking quite heavy damage. Panzer gun's getting suppressed. And artillery getting called in. And artillery getting called in on the Panther, but apparently it survives. Quite fortunate. And Panzer Grenadiers forced into retreat as well. While in the north, some assault grenadiers have snuck in and are harassing a bit there. And Panzer Grenadiers sort of shifting back and forth in a slightly circus-like movement. Certainly bothersome, I'd suspect, for them. Very routine-y. Riflemen still hiding inside there. Anti-tank guns ready to stop any armored assaults. Panzer Grenadiers later ready to lead the charge, and probably some shots from the Hummel getting ready to lay down the artillery on those Americans. Charging forwards right into the center. Already a few upgrades on those Panzer Grenadiers. Artillery opening up. Anti-tank gun in the north cleared out. Heavy machine gun getting bombarded. Anti-tank gun knocked out by the Panthers. Rangers might also get knocked out, in fact. There we go. Rangers lost. Central position getting bombarded by the Hummel. And I do believe... still no veterans though. But anti-tank guns are not a worry at this stage, although the health of the Panthers is not entirely looking good. Panzer grenades getting reinforced. Incendiary grenades on the way, I do believe. All very aggressive. Certainly been quite a fight, a bit back and forth, but now I might be able to turn things around again once more. Panthers ready, and again 9 kills, although this one though now has an armored kill. Howl probably preparing, although it takes some time until it gets Infantry, in which case it actually fires much quicker. In particular at Infantry 3. And Panzer Grenadiers once more leading the charge. Assault rifles, quite a few in fact. Might as well get as much firepower. Down at the Americans, and there we go again. Off-map combat group, 2 rifleman teams, a mortar and an anti-tank gun. And this stage though, I do believe it's around 1,000 manpower in this case though. Riflemen inside this building. Panzer grenades coming in, and artillery going in fact. Scorched Earth sector artillery once more hammering their positions. Quite expensive though, but usually you can do a bit with it although that can be a bit dependent on its mood, since it does fire quite slowly and at its own leisure. But there we go, riflemen taking quite a pasting. Some Rangers apparently also lost as well. Artillery just firing away, hoping to knock out the anti-tank gun, it seems. Riflemen slaughtered by the sector artillery. Panthers advancing, or at least one of them are. Panzer Grenadiers repairing it. M8 opening up. Panzer Grenadiers need to retreat. And the Panther needs to turn its frontal armor. Artillery just keeps flying through the air. The anti-tank gun fires with the howitzer, fires without remorse, and once more riflemen taking up position here with a BARs. They can certainly do quite a bit of damage actually. But Panzer Grenadiers keep firing from here, and sector artillery knocks out another Ranger unit. My goodness, again, sector artillery, and just let's briefly pause, works on you actually need to see something in that territory for sector artillery to work. If you can't see anything, it doesn't work. On the other hand, if you can't see it, well, congratulations, sector artillery will usually take care of it. Panzer Grenadiers getting reinforced and healed up again. Surprisingly though, the Panthers have not been lost as of yet. This point secured. Getting booby-trapped this time around.
We have crushed the enemy to only 100 points.
And then quickly getting out of there. Panzer Grenadiers advancing into the center. M8 dashing about. Veterans 3 in fact decreasing damage by 25%. And riflemen getting forced out due to incendiary grenades, and now a bit of slowdown, forcing them away, doing the most damage I can on these chaps. Panzer Grenadiers retreating, although he's certainly going to get a nasty surprise when he tries to take that point back. Artillery once more moving in. And veteran sergeants have now been prepared, increasing suppression resistance on my Panzer Grenadiers. and also increasing the rate of veterancy. M8 charges in. Artillery moving in. And I do believe, finally, the Hummel gains a bit of veterancy. Finally. Incendiary grenades on the anti-tank gun. Going to clear that out right away. And shooting an medic just for good measure. And looks like another off-map combat group. More riflemen anti-tank guns and another M10. While the Panther, after having been repaired, again also moves in while the other one is getting repaired. Certainly a lot of repairs for the Panthers, but then again, you might as well do it, since it can be a rather expensive venture to call in fresh ones, in particular when things are so dicey. Panzer Grenadiers charging forwards once more. Panthers moving up to support. Offensive veterancies that can have an easier time actually hitting anything, including infantry. Rather what I prefer. And Panzer Grenadiers immediately coming under fire from the M8 with veterancy free. Panther opening up, doing quite a bit of damage, in fact. Incendiary grenades going off on the church, but it misses. Oh dear. And the Hummel opens up once more right into the center. Once more hoping to hit that anti-tank gun. Will it hit? No. Oh, there we go. Nice hit. Further incendiary grenades being lobbed at the church. Panthers firing away at the M10s. M10's quite damaged, in fact. And 15 kills on the Hummel right now. That's certainly much more useful. Heavy machine gun setting up in the north to cover the northern victory point and make things harder for me to actually do a bit of harassment right there. Panther again getting repaired. My goodness. Quite some repairs there, and the Panzer Grenadiers right next to it get blown to bits. Rather tragic. Particularly for the crew, watching as they notice their comrades in arms getting splattered all across the front. As the American artillery once more without remorse, without feelings, keep pounding away the artillery across the river. Enter the central area of Semois. Panther getting out of there once more to get repaired. Phew. And disabling the northern victory point, rather thinking, well, I can't take it, I might as well render it inoperable for him. Again, just disabling can certainly be effective, and in this case again he needs to keep his units tied down, actually having to repair it. In the meanwhile I can secure the other victory points for me. Panthers getting repaired, or at least one is. While other Panzer Grenadiers are desperately holding the center. Anti-tank gun recruit and then cleared out. The Hummel firing up, hoping to perhaps hit some of these chaps. But instead hitting the river, leaving quite an impressive splash of water. Well, not quite what we're looking for. Come on, Hummel, hit something. Not quite. Still repairing this point, which is only giving me more time to gain as much an advantage again, or leap in victory points. And now going for the logistic company, rather figuring at this stage I'm rather taking losses. I need to increase the sizes of my squads to increase the amount of firepower I can actually lob at them. Panzer Grenadiers advancing. Panther is repaired and moves forward for the fatherland. No time to wait. Danger is afoot and one needs to move forward. Panzer Grenadiers ready, in fact, and then they get disabled by artillery, or at least one gets killed, as they rather realize this is right in the middle of the artillery range. Panther moves forward. Routman tries to take the central victory point, and booby trap more or less kills them all but one. Anti-tank gun opens up. Quite a bit of death. Panzer Grenadiers move into the center. Panther provides cover fire. Artillery going down. M10's advancing and the Hummel fires in support.
We are losing territory.
Probably at that anti-tank gun, hoping to disable it, making things easier for the Panthers. And M10's knocked out, and Panzer charging through in the north, and JohnnyCrypton leaves. The 1st Infantry Division has to pull back in the face of the onslaught of the Panzer Lehr. Victory! Hooray! So, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. I certainly hope you did. I certainly hope you found it interesting. I certainly hope you learned something. But what can we learn from it? Well, in this case, I mean, we saw Scorched Earth being used quite well. If you saw booby traps, we even saw the barbed wire actually forcing him to be a sort of bit, oh dear, what to do? He couldn't just charge at me or at least flank me. I mean, that's one of the things you can do with barbed wire. I mean, unlike in the previous match we saw earlier today where he sort of tried to use it to sort of just show off completely. I mean, I just used it to protect my flanks and make it harder for him to move in. But I still kept an eye on it. And of course we saw disabling points. I mean, I did it a few times, which really proved to be the rather important bits. For example, the strategic point right here, denying him munitions from here, or of course the munitions point, and then of course the victory point. I mean, disabling points can certainly make an advantage if used cleverly. The Hummel certainly also came into 4, and of course keeping the Panthers alive was also a very good idea. Veterancy for Panzer Grenadiers, great. I mean, JohnnyCrypton certainly wasn't too bad either. I mean, he had medic stations, he kept supplying his troops, but he could have done with some more defense himself. I mean, he had infantry doctrine, he could have had them lay down mines, he could have had them lay down tank traps, barbed wire, sandbags, something, but he didn't quite manage it. He did manage a medic station, but that was about it. Supply and upgrades though, quite good, certainly nothing to scoff at. And certainly neither with the artillery, but then again, perhaps some more solid armor like a Sherman could have been of help besides those M10s. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is Imperialdane saying cheers!